Greetings. Today we will be talking about La Virgen de Guadalupe and the two artworks in dedication to her. She is a patron saint of the indigenous, located once in present-day Mexico. Atop an angel and moon dressed in a blue cloak, detailed with golden stars, and in her hands in prayer position, with her beautiful brown skin, the Virgin of Guadalupe appeared to Juan Diego for the very first time on December 9th, 1531.
Here we're presented with a marvelous 18th century painting created by artist Sebastian Salcedo in 1779 titled The Virgin of Guadalupe.
The painting was originally brought to a church dedicated to the Virgin of Guadalupe in Santa Fe, but now resides in the Denver Art Museum in Colorado.
Salcedo's painting is inspired by an engraving created early in the 18th century by German brothers Joseph Sebastian Klauber and John Baptist Klauber.
In terms of style, one can see that the oil and copper painting is heavily European influenced, where more specifically the painting shows concepts of a Baroque style, where the artist's expressions of reality is shown through the use of light and dark shades.
The painting also features cloud-like borders and banners that are entangled with the majority of the subjects depicted, where the borders also show Salcedo's signature.
And the banners contain the names of the several scenes of the paintings.
What's interesting about the central figure is that there's an emphasis on the sun protruding out of the Virgin's back, where the bright golden colors used stand in contrast to the rest of the colors of Salcedo's work.
It could have been done as to attract more of the audience attention with the holy individual.
Speaking about the iconography of this painting, the work at the center depicts the Virgin of Guadalupe surrounded with dozens of angels and important religious figures, each handing her a crown.
This act of coronation further supports the emphasis of her on how she was seen as one of the most important holiest figures of Christianity at this period in colonial Mexico.
When roughly in this time, there were a lot of reported visions of not only the Virgin of Guadalupe in New Spain, but also of other holy apparitions that blessed the lands, which seemed to captivate both the indigenous and Creoles.
At the top portion of the painting shows several scenes that visually depicts the appearance of the Virgin of Guadalupe to the people of New Spain in several tales,
where four of them specifically focus on the tale relating to the indigenous man Juan Diego, who was seen as the first person to encounter the figure at a hill at Tepeyac.
The rest of the scenes shown across Salcedo's paintings are of those that display other moments when the Virgin of Guadalupe appeared in New Spain. Moving on to the bottom of the work, the painting notably depicts two distinguishable figures across from each other that look proudly at the Virgin of Guadalupe.
The figure on the left is that of Pope Benedict XIV, represented with papal clothing from that time period.
He is shown in this painting likely because of the reason that he officially recognized the Virgin of Guadalupe and its devoted followers in 1754.
The figure next to him is the embodiment of New Spain, represented with pre-Hispanic clothing like the feather headdress and the famous Tenochtitlan glyph.
The painting seems to show the idea that although these two figures are very different in terms of race and views, they seem to unite under the common idea of the Virgin of Guadalupe.
This connection mirrored what was happening between the 16th and 18th century in New Spain, where the holy figure also united the indigenous population, Creoles, and Spaniards, under the goodness and mother-like aspect of the Virgin of Guadalupe.
Lastly, the very bottom of the painting depicts a colonial settlement and a church surrounded by the vast ocean and few trees.
Most likely, the church was made in honor of the Virgin of Guadalupe, reflecting how a church was made in tribute for her in Tepeyac, based on the Juan Diego tale.
Located on the outskirts of Mexico City lies the Catholic shrine Basilica of Our Lady Guadalupe. The story of Virgin Guadalupe came from a man named Juan Diego, who was walking between his village and Mexico City when Virgin Guadalupe appeared to him. She spoke to him in Nahuatl, his native language, and said to build a church on this site. Spanish missionaries used the story of Virgin Guadalupe's appearance to help convert indigenous people in what had previously been the Aztec Empire. The pilgrimage to the Basilica of Our Lady Guadalupe is very popular. People crawl on their knees for miles to arrive at the Basilica before praying to the Virgin of Guadalupe. Followers believe Virgin Guadalupe can cure almost any sickness. The shrine dates back to 1536 and still stands today. Throughout time, the building has weakened and diminished and was rebuilt as the new Basilica of Our Lady Guadalupe in 1974. Virgin Guadalupe still holds the faith of Catholics in Mexico and Latin America. Virgin Guadalupe has been recognized as a patron saint of Mexico City since the mid-17th century.
Located on the hillside of El Tepeyac, La Ofrenda was constructed with the architectural direction of Auriel Garcia Dominguez Mendoza from the years of 1982 to 1986. The artwork consists of 14 individuals and La Virgen de Guadalupe herself. Focusing on the architectural artwork, on the very far left side, we seem to depict two indigenous characters with their arms extended. Based on the single feathered headdress, one may conclude that such individuals possess some sort of higher rank in the social pyramid. In addition, their offerings seem to be everyday home essentials, such as pottery. In front stands what seems to be an indigenous leader. Based off his vibrant green cape and headpiece, his ranking seems to be the utmost rank of the social hierarchy. The three women seem to be regular peasants according to their simplistic attire. In addition, the women in white and orange attire are both carrying their ofrenda, or offering. Their offerings seem to be on a tray, perhaps bread of some sort. The middle woman in the green attire is carrying her child, but her toddler seems to be carrying a small offering to the Virgen of Guadalupe. In front of the three women are both a woman and a younger girl. Them too, based off their attire, seem to be from the peasant or noble class of the indigenous people. Their offerings consist of a variety of fruits placed in a woven-like basket. Aside of them seem to be three indigenous peasants. One can conclude such description through their attire and plain headbands. They seem to be offering really minimal, perhaps based off of their inability to claim ownership of certain items. The three most important figures to me are those three highest placed individuals. The three most important figures are those highest placed individuals. Beginning with the monk. He is depicted with a traditional long monk gown with the tonsure hair. This figure is extremely important because he is the embodiment of the conversion to Catholicism. On the other hand, La Virgen de Guadalupe chose Juan Diego as the indigenous peasant to which she would appear to multiple times. Unlike every other figure, Juan Diego is dressed in all white, representing his purity and humbleness, which the Virgen of Guadalupe saw within him. In addition, unlike the other figures, Juan Diego is kneeled aside of La Virgen de Guadalupe. Now, the most important figure of the entire art piece is La Virgen de Guadalupe herself. The statue is in the utmost position of the hill. She is dressed in her green cloth, embroidered with gold lining and golden star-like figures. Protruding from behind her, and a sun ray-like frame encrusted with gold material adds the majestic factor to her depiction. Accepting her offerings, her hands are positioned in an open manner, and her face too has a sense of happiness, considering she is facing the individuals.
The Virgin of Guadalupe is recognized to be a saint of Mexico City. In the 17th century, images depicting Guadalupe increased rapidly as a devotion to her. In The Virgin of Guadalupe, painted by Sebastian Salcedo, one can see Guadalupe has a holy glow extending around her and religious figures handing her a crown. This This emphasized her status and how she was recognized as a significant holy figure to Christians and Catholics in Mexico. Located in Mexico City stands the Basilica of Our Lady Guadalupe, a shrine dedicated to the patron angel. At the basilica stands La Ofrenda. This monument represents the new faith the indigenous people have with the Christianity and come bearing gifts to Guadalupe. To this day, Lady Guadalupe still holds the faith of Christians and Catholics all over Mexico and Latin America.